about it.
Oh, well, there you go.
Hey.
I just wanted to play some beach ball.
This overwhelming desire to sing songs from the Everly Brothers. Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 391 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the #1 live podcast in Canada. We're recording on April 17th, 2023.
We need your help to support the Canadian Patriot Podcast. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt, just $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
This takes us to my favorite segment. It's called How Am I Getting Inebriated Today, and What Have I Done to Prepare for Society's Inevitable Downfall? We might go back to the shorter title next week. That was very verbose. As is tradition, we'll start with Liz. Liz, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a gin beverage called Sandbagger.
Hey,
It's boysenberry hard seltzer.
love boysenberry.
It's very tasty. I like it.
Where you're holding it, though, it looks a little empty. Probably should grab another.
I don't have any more of this because I'm like a single can kind of lady. So gotta go this way. It's natural. I don't know.
Are those
they
alcoholic?
good? I've seen those.
Yeah.
Are they?
So it's like vodka, but this one's grapefruit.
It's more of like
So-
a bear claw or white claw, whatever it's called. White claw.
Yeah, it's like a
bear claws are
carbonated
tasty
water.
too. They're just like little kid cookies.
Oh yeah, bear paws.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I eat a whole
Um,
box of those.
Yeah, I can definitely pack one of those back.
Every
No,
child
so
loves them.
yeah, it's true. So do you know what I miss? Those like cheesier peanut butter dipstick things.
Yes.
That's what I miss.
Also the
Ugh.
peanut butter ones as well.
Yeah,
like
right.
the one, but you got the stick and you got to spread the peanut butter
Yeah.
on it. And
Yeah,
then,
the
Yeah.
cheese whiz. You get the you get the
Yeah.
cracker or the sticks. You know, either
Yeah.
or.
Yep.
And
good times,
Dunkers.
good old
I'd
days.
fuck with either of those.
Yep. I'm
There you
with
go.
you.
We'll have to
Adult
add some to
snacks.
the snack cabinet at the trailer there for you, Dave.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
There you
never
go.
know.
That
Might
sounds
have
like
to
a-
entertain.
That's how it. Anyways, I have not done anything this weekend to enhance, my fighting position. I might have decreased it, so
Oh,
that's all. Yeah.
well,
I really shouldn't be drinking.
much
My
drinking.
liver is probably still in recovery. So
maybe.
It can recover when you're dead.
I got a little.
That's okay.
I was
You're-
at some sponsored events over the weekend.
Ooh, was it open bar?
Yes.
Nice.
You're working on
Nice.
your mental health.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't
It's
so
important.
helpful though. I
And-
will say
and,
that
and
like
networking.
yes, all those things. I would say that New York City smells worse than normal when it's hot.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's probably like that weird Toronto smell, but like worse because there's 8 million
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, and like the homeless people have different diseases and weirder, like more obvious ones. Like,
Yes.
they're not just homeless, they're like
Super homeless.
diseased. No, it sounds awful, but I just couldn't believe like how many health issues. Like Canada's got some pretty decent homeless people.
Yes, I mean, like you just got one step closer to the
Weird
apocalypse than
benchmark.
we did.
Yeah.
That's true. I survived the apocalypse.
Yeah, at least a more apocalypse scenario than we have.
I'm not really like a hand sanitizer user, but I used hand sanitizer a lot.
Well, one in Rome
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
New York. Yeah.
But good news. 2 of the sponsors, one of them, if anybody knows their scotch. Does anybody know their scotch?
I like scotch.
Okay,
I like scotch.
Lefroy was one of the sponsors.
Did you get some
Oh.
free bottles?
Are you sure that wasn't the thing that was making everything smell? Because that one's a little bit feedy.
I love it. It's peat, properly
Yeah, yeah.
pronounced peat and
Yes.
oak.
She just rubs a little
I'm
here
aware of
and
what
then
they put in it,
smells it for the rest of the
but
night.
it makes it smell like feet.
No,
Oh.
I love it. Lefroy is like one of my favorite scotch. And it was an open bar. and they did sponsor the event, and I drank a lot of it. I did
I'm proud
not
of you.
get bottles, but I drank a lot of it. And then Belvedere, which is a Scottish brewery, they also sponsored the event. So, yeah, Scottish people doing Scottish
Scottish
things.
things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think that networking, we'll go with that. If that enhances
Yeah.
things, we'll go with that for sure.
You embrace your
survived New York
cultural
City.
heritage. Yeah.
I survived New York City.
That in and
okay?
of itself is a skill. Yeah.
Yeah. An urban warrior. There we go. Pierre, what about you?
This is per normal. I'm drinking some whiskey and water tonight.
Okay.
And a skill to better enhance myself, I participated in a course tonight and shot further than I have ever shot before, and was pleased with the score that came back at 500 yards. So it was a fantastic thing that we're going to talk about later. So I'll keep it at that, but lots of fun and very ecstatic about it.
Is that why you're wearing a Ragnarok tactical hat? You
Yeah,
feel
I
like you're
finally
really,
got one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
you feel like you're really,
Yeah, it took
in the
over a
cult
year.
now.
Well, it took over a year being on the podcast to even get the opportunity to buy one.
Mm.
I've been waiting a
that's
long time for mine too.
direct- I was gonna say that's a direct dig at Andrew. In
Wow.
That's
case
fine.
anyone was wondering,
Well, yeah,
If you know somebody that will embroider a hat,
I do.
faster
gonna-
than this guy.
gonna need a new embroidery place because I'm not. I don't
Phil
care
owes
what
us hats,
COVID
right?
I don't know what COVID did to the supply chain, but
I've got a guy. We'll talk after.
I have nothing nice to say.
See, networking.
The problem is right now is you already gave him money for like a bunch of stuff we still haven't gotten from him, right?
I have that problem with several vendors.
Right.
Are you like, if you need
Thankfully
somebody
not
to go
me.
after them in like a little bit of an aggressive, bitchy manner, like I'm your girl, you just have to give me a
That too.
hat at the end of all this.
That can be arranged.
We might need to work on that.
What about you,
Yeah.
Dave?
I'm drinking some Signal Hill tonight. I was drinking beer all weekend, making sure I was nice and dried out while I was on the range.
I don't know if
I
I'd call
was-
I
that
can
dried
see-
out.
I
But
can
dried out
see,
with like actual of
like, not hydrated.
yeah, not
Yeah.
hydrated. Yeah.
I can kind of see your cheeks pink, like in the video.
It's warm in here right now, like quite
Mm.
warm in this room. The door was shut for a while. My computer has heated it up quite a bit. But
Okay. That's
yeah.
what you're telling the interwebs.
Yeah, and then I also have beer for later if we get to that point. But yeah, I was teaching said course that Pierre was just speaking of, which we're going to talk about. So yeah, brought a whole bunch of new shooters into the fold and feeling really positive after this weekend. It's good.
Was there a lot of new shooters like that?
I had
You
18
were-
people on the course.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was if you check out the ORA Facebook page or my Facebook page, you can see a bunch of pictures from the weekend, and you can see how many people were crowded around me while we were teaching. It's good. It's good. Really good turnout. Really happy
Well,
with it.
Next time I'm gonna do that instead of New York City.
Yeah, it probably smelled a lot better. I mean, we were outdoors and
Yeah.
stuff. Smell of
Uh-huh.
cordite. I'll take the smell of cordite over just about anything.
Yeah.
Dave had a bit of a tooty butt, so it didn't always smell that great, but still probably better than New York.
It's those
Pretty
damn
much
frozen hamburgers.
anything does.
Who's next? Andrew?
I mean, traditionally I go last, but all right.
Oh, okay.
I can
No,
go
that's
with it.
fine.
Huh?
Dave
Alright.
passed me the baton, and I'm going to
Fair.
gingerly beat him about with it. I am drinking 40 Creek, and
There
I
you
have
go.
improved my fighting position vastly recently. I'm triple digits on consecutive 10,000 steps a day. I'm 100 and something ridiculous day, like 106 consecutive days of 10,000 steps. And I'm
Nice.
drinking my water. And on Saturday, I drank almost 4 liters of water, which was significantly more than I need to meet the challenge. But somehow I still had room for like a 6-pack of beer. So I'm going to call it a win.
Yeah, for sure.
Gavin, what are you drinking?
I'm just drinking water this evening after completing 75 hard. Not that I was like drunk every day, but I was drinking a fair amount of alcohol.
Mm.
So I just kind of cut it out for the week just to get back to my normal pace. But yeah, so definitely drinking my water as part of the Patriot Challenge. I'm on leader number 4 today. I've been keeping that up from 75 hard for the most part because it just makes me feel better. Doing my readings, and I was helping Dave this weekend, so I practiced by helping people do the things and working on my radio communications with range control.
It's important to talk on the radio.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Yes.
Well, we'll get to all of that fun eventually. We've
Do you
almost
guys have
made it
any
through
new
the-
courses coming up?
We've almost made it through the intro. We'll get to the thing in a second.
Yeah.
At the moment, no, but we will. We can make something happen.
Almost made it through the intro.
I think that you're getting a little stressed about us making it through the intro.
Well,
Huh?
we have a whole section about where Pierre goes shooting. If I can get through the housekeeping, we can talk all about talking on the radio and taking courses and shooting guns and how
Fair.
far Pierre. There's like, or not. I don't know. I'm not sure what Pierre has planned for this section. So maybe it's all
me neither.
preamble. Listener feedback. We'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Send us your feedback at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Listen to the show on Stitcher, iTunes, and other places where fine podcasts are consumed. Upcoming events. In just a few short days. The Verster Lake Remote Military March will be happening. If you're in, I'm going to say very southern Ontario. If you're in the London area, you should probably get in touch with me on the podcast Gilded if you're available on the 28th and 29th and want to urban camp.
Oh, you guys are urban camping?
In my backyard.
In whose backyard? Dave's.
OPSEC, bro. OPSEC.
So
You're in the
why
London
are you
area.
just okay? So why are you urban camping like out your back door?
So some of the people that we're doing the Verster Lake March with, myself, Gavin, other Andrew, a few people that have hiked with us before, a few people that haven't.
Yeah.
We're trying to pick a location, and this year we decided we're going to go from St. Thomas to Port Stanley
Oh,
And
okay.
back.
and back.
And then I don't know what you guys are doing day 2, probably the same
And
thing.
conveniently, Dave lives in St. Thomas.
Yes.
So we're going to pitch our tarps in Dave's yards and create a slightly larger, much more heavily armed hobo encampment than the other one in St. Thomas.
I was gonna say, I was like, you guys are fighting for, status there.
Everything in
much of
life
a
is a
fight, yeah.
contest, including being homeless.
A lot
I
less
guess so.
track marks on our patrons.
Well,
Just saying, like, if we're going to form a hobo encampment, ours will be very heavily armed and well disciplined.
Yeah. if we're going to be
And,
homeless,
and we
we're
have
going to be the
and we
best
have a guard
homeless.
dog that barks at everything.
When you say we, Dave, is this actually indicating that you're gonna be camping with them?
No,
I'm
he's
gonna be
gonna
sleeping in my
around there.
bedroom. I'm gonna be
Yeah, I was
sleeping in my
gonna
bedroom.
say, I was like,
Fuck no.
um
I'm not sleeping with the plebs.
But yes.
Also, in case you want to get more Dave time, we'll be camping at Dave's house for Rezool. I'm not sure if that's true. I'm really just
I was
making
gonna
that up
say,
right now.
I'm gonna be in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Middle of May, 18th to the 21st is the Rezool 4-day march. I mean, I guess we could go to Ottawa.
Well, I'm gonna be there for like a pretty special event.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
What are you going to? Are you going to this? Oh, the other.
Here's
I know what you're going
wedding.
to. I was gonna say, I know. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what? Oh, I know what that is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like,
The wedding
the wedding.
celebration is that weekend.
the wedding.
Yeah.
You just
I
need a
mean,
really
there's gonna be
long
camping.
aisle.
I'm planning on camping, so
A really
Yeah.
long aisle.
Like
Jesus.
at least 10 kilometers.
yeah.
Maybe. Like,
Yeah.
however long it takes to get from like where we're sitting, wherever Pierce sits us at the wedding,
Why
to where we're going to the washroom or the nearest tree.
So
That'll
my,
be how many kilometers I contribute.
Why
the
don't I
crazy
just
part is-
drop you off before we get to Pierre's house? And then you
Where?
have to
Yeah.
walk to the wedding.
I'm not doing
100
that.
kilometers.
I'm definitely not doing that.
Yeah.
I'll never make
So
it.
the crazy part is, right? Like it's not at my house, but like the place we're having the celebration is 5 kilometers from my house.
There you go. That goes.
Only 95 more kilometers to go.
Are you gonna
Yeah,
put a
so
can of bug
Andrew
spray on all
We'll
the tables?
drop you at like 100
Yeah.
kilometers out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I need another little. I happen to have my little Rezool medal with my pins, and I need another little pin.
Did I do that
see.
one? Yeah, I did
Nice.
Rizoul. I was tragic. It was my first year. But
That's
I
fine.
did
I
it
got a
last
yellow
okay.
pin
year.
and a red pin. I need to get another pin.
I didn't get a pin. I didn't know.
Well,
Did you have to buy the pin?
I
yes,
don't know.
we
Possibly.
had
Because I
to
just
buy our
bought the
own.
patch.
We had to
I
buy
just
our
bought
own
the
awards,
patch.
and
I
it was
have
worth it.
I have the medal. I don't have the pin from last year. I don't know where it is though. It's
I
still
didn't know you
packed
could
away.
buy that stuff. I just got the patch. I don't.
Oh, I buy all
care.
the silly trinkets.
Yeah, so I don't.
Medals
like,
are cool.
Yeah. We can pin these to our blazers the next time we're at the club.
Yeah, but you also happen to have like a nice felty dinner jacket that
Yeah.
kind of goes well with that.
It's totally the wrong
I'm
color. His
already
dinner jacket is
enough
red,
of
his
a
ribbon is
poser
blue.
with some of this.
I think we should get
stuff.
matching dinner jackets for the PR championship in September.
Oh my
But like
gosh.
sleeveless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And multicam.
I'm way out of my depth in any of this stuff, but I would really like to just
So many.
I'll
blue
come
ones.
as your administrative assistant just to be a fly on the wall to any event.
I
Sold.
always can use
All
some, I can
events.
I can always use somebody that would be willing to
Well-
do scorekeeping. So you collect their scores
You're
and
Yes.
always
put them into that.
welcome.
I
Yeah,
really
there
want
you
to
go.
be a fly on the wall. You guys are ridiculous humans, and I kind of enjoy watching it. I
There you
mean,
go.
you got to cool it on the short shorts, but
No
I'm
promises.
gonna just point out that as an active participant in the podcast, unlike many of our listeners who chirp furiously in the comments but don't participate, this is not watching. This is participating.
Yeah.
no. Like, I'm not
No,
talking
no.
about the podcast. I'm talking about like all the things that you guys do.
Yes, wherein we only socialize with people that listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there were quite a few listeners at the podcast.
I believe Chris
We're
was
at the-
in
yeah.
attendance with a brand new Make Fun of Ragnarok tactical T-shirt.
He was.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Then he had a second one that was also like I didn't get it till Gavin explained it like at the end of the day.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
we
read
had
it and I was
And
like,
how it
I've
was
been in the
making fun
sun
of
all day.
Ragnarok Tactical, though.
No, the second one was
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't get how that was making fun of Ragnarok, but
No,
yeah,
I
if you
didn't
need
even
it,
try and interpret it.
admin person.
May
I
7th is the next one. And then June
Well, that's
June
not
4th.
helpful.
we're,
I can't do
we're-
May 7th because I'm at a jujitsu tournament and there's an Amish auction here. Sorry.
Oh man, how much for an Amish?
No, but they do have all their rifles up on this auction. So there are folks that are moving to the States. So
But
I had a
also,
chat
let's
with them.
consider what's their property size. Could be better than the
it's like
previous
50
deal.
acres, but you don't really want it around here.
Oh,
Most
yeah.
of their so this is it for the Amish community this side of Perth, like this area of like Perth, Oxford. They're all moving to Michigan. Probably by the end of the summer they'll be gone due to all the insanity. But yeah, so all their land is up for tender. So
Interesting.
yeah, but it's up for tender. So if anybody is interested, Gavin, should we talk? Shall I
I
mention it
mean,
later?
how much land? Because I mean, there could be another gun club that
So
needs to
there's
be built.
some of them are like 18 acres, some of them are like 50 acres, right?
But I imagine they're all
So-
like up against one another because you know.
Not all
Amish
of them, but
community.
some of them are. Some of them are.
All right. Well, you
So,
can
but-
strategize later, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last event, and then we're finally through the preamble.
Is this stressing you out? Because I
A
can like
little bit.
interrupt you 1,000 times more.
I know you can, and that's okay. I'm good with it. I'm very zen.
it's all part of the
You're
show
very
now,
zen. Are you telling yourself that lie?
A lie repeated often enough becomes the truth, or something
Mm.
like that's what Christia Freeland said. The Army run is scheduled for September 8th to the 29th, virtual. They're doing also an in-person in Ottawa this year. I don't recommend. Don't go to Ottawa. That sounds terrible.
No, man.
But do sign up and join our Strava club. We do running and rucking, and it's a good time. And now we can resume all of the preamble about Pierre going shooting.
Yes.
Yes. So I participated in the ORA Precision Rifle Clinic that Dave put on. Thankfully, was able to get on there. It was a fantastic weekend.
How did you get
Learned
on
a
there?
lot.
You should start by
Yeah, so-
that. How did
yeah,
you even
so-
get on there?
So I had mentioned in between, not online or whatever, but I had mentioned Dave and asked him like, "Hey, when are you going to put a course on?" He's like, "I'm working on one." I said, "Perfect," and I mentioned it to Mel. So Mel made sure to get in touch with him and work out all the details, and then just sent me a confirmation email saying I'm on the course while we were on our honeymoon. So I was like, perfect. Got everything set up. Everything's good. So that was fantastic. And it was a good weekend. Good information. It was nice to put into practice, you know, the books you read, the videos you watch, the listening to people of, you know, mentioning stuff or whatever, but actually be able to put it on paper and test it out. Fantastic volunteers, you know, standing right behind you, guiding you with, you know, calling wind for you or adjustments. You know, thankfully they knew the difference between MOA and mill, you know, did the math real quick in their head, you know, made it very comfortable, very easy to just, you know, hey, we're at 300-400 yards. Like, all right, put this on your scope dial and like take a shot. Let's see what happens or whatever. So it was nice. It was fantastic. I had an awesome time. Came back with a bunch of stuff that I will hopefully be able to practice, and made a few contacts, people that may be a little bit closer, and hopefully get
Nice.
on a course or on at least on a match, at least go try it out, you know.
Right.
And
Yes.
well
Peter
worth
had the unfortunate pleasure of meeting our friend Barney, good old tactical teacher.
oh,
Why unfortunate?
No, Barney's a great guy.
Barney,
he's
Barney
awesome.
is the probably one of the biggest characters you're gonna find
Yeah.
on the range. He got me into it. He was helping Andrew run CQC once upon a time for the ORA, and you know, I was shooting one of Andrew's matches, and he was the RO that day. And at the end of the day, he's just like, "Hey, everybody, if you're interested in shooting long range, hit me up. I'm running matches in Petawawa." And I'm like, I want to shoot long range. Like I had bought
As an
a
aside,
Yeah.
that is the worst impression I have ever heard of Barney.
Yeah,
Carry
there
on.
was not
I'm not
nearly
trying
enough, there's not nearly enough swearing.
yeah, he's PPCLI and he's a tiny Chinaman. He'll call himself that as such.
What does PPCLI?
Oh, that's
get it.
Princess Patricia's light infantry.
What's the
it's
C
their-
stand for? Do
I
push
can't
ups.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, Canadian light infantry. So they're you know, they're a division of the Canadian military,
Okay.
and they're known
Yeah.
for, you
They're
know,
not a
being a
division,
bunch
they're
of
a regiment.
of being a bunch of badasses.
Oh.
Also
Okay,
known
good.
as the Dirty Patricias.
Yeah, the dirty Patricians.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I have heard that before.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
So
told
he's
you I
from-
was gonna ask like 1,000 questions today.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. And yeah, so
Yeah.
you know, I bought a Remington 700 with a heavy barrel and put it in a fancy stock, made it look like the gun I had in Call of Duty. But you know, other than shooting it at 100 yards at my local range, that's the most I ever did. And you know, I always obviously wanted to go further with it, but didn't know who or where to do it. And Barney was finally the person to be like, yeah, fucking come here and we'll shoot out to 600 meters. I you know, we just do walkbacks on the Saturday, which is walkback is, you know, you just go to each distance and shoot, get your information that you write it down. So that way, when you go into the match on the Sunday, you know, all the settings for your scope at the different distances. And, you know, so it's a nice way to kind of ease you into shooting long range, because it can be obviously overwhelming.
There's a lot to it.
There's a lot going on, yeah. And
Yeah.
so, like, you know, the course this weekend, I you know, kind of taken some elements of what he impressed upon me, and you know, some elements from some other courses I've been on, and then trying to basically do the same thing, right? Ease people that have never shot past 100 yards at their local range, or you know, shot a long gun in general, ease them into shooting long distance. At the end of Sunday, we shot at 500 yards, and you know, pretty everybody that was there hit targets well, and you know, there was smiles everywhere. And yeah, I think you know, there was a few things that weren't perfect that you know, I can take away from for the next one that we do, but all in all, I think everybody learned a ton, and it was overall a big success. I think everybody was really happy as far as I could tell. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if Pierre has any if Pierre had any constructive criticism, or if there's things that he thought he would have wanted to learn that he didn't, anything like that. I mean, go ahead. Man.
The only thing I'm disappointed of is I wish we could have gone out further.
Right.
And I mean, that
yeah,
was the time
the biggest, the biggest
Yeah.
problem, time,
Yeah.
but also the biggest thing. You were definitely, you were definitely one of the guys that I didn't have to worry about. You were picking it up quick, and
Yeah.
you take your shots and you're right there. But
Oh,
there was
yeah.
a lot. There's some other much newer people there that that were basically, there's a couple people there that were just, I don't think they've ever shot anything other than a couple guns off of a bench, if ever. And so they were starting from complete scratch, so walking them
Yeah.
back to 500 was a tall task. And like, honestly, like
Yeah.
you said, the volunteers that I had, if I didn't have them,
Oh,
I don't think
yeah.
it would have been possible, because like they
No.
needed some people needed some serious hand holding. And I'm only one person, and I'm trying to help
Yeah.
as many people as I can, but there was there
Yeah.
was 18 shooters on the course, so,
Yeah.
so it's a lot of people to try and help.
And I could, and I saw that, and I'm not saying that it sucked because of that. Like, I was there at some point. I've had some practice doing hunting, doing hand loads and trying it out, so like fairly familiar. And then I've read a bunch of books and watched many videos about the whole concept of it, and I was like, I get the concept. So it was nice to put all the concept into it. And I mean, I could see it when I was in the butts, like, a target here and there where it's like, okay, it's here, and a target goes up and then it comes back down. It's like, someone's off, left.
You're
and up.
watching them correct, right?
Yeah, watching them
Kind of
correct.
walking
but
it,
like,
walk it in.
yeah, but also like, you only need to go down like 2.5 inches, but somehow they end up like 9 inches up and to the left. And it was just like, it was like, on the Saturday, when we did the scope drill, like, you're only supposed to go up, and I'm below the dot, and I'm getting yelled at, like, Pierre, restart. I was like, okay, put everything back,
Yeah. I
So,
was
yeah,
I was
it's just
sitting on the
one of those things.
line with my binoculars, kind of just looking at everybody's targets. So I got them to number all their targets, and we're doing a scope verification test. So basically, you're always aiming at the same point, but you're going to keep playing with the dials on the scope so that the bullet goes up, and then it's going to go over here, and it's going to go up, and it's going to go over here, and it keeps going up and up and up and then you're going to bring it back down to all its zeros and make sure that it goes back down to that zero, which is, it's a very critical thing that your scope is tracking accurately. So you're measuring where each shot goes once you're done shooting, and then also does it go back to that initial zero within an error, margin of error. It's not going to be like right in that hole, but you're going to want to be close. And I'm just panning across, and I see Pierre's. I'm like, nope, Pierre's all wrong. Pierre, what are you doing?
They're getting yelled at. What are you doing? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're only supposed to be going up. I was like, I'm 3 inches below the first shot. I was like, I don't know, man. So I get it, right? Like, I mean, it would have just been nice to go further, but I understood the concept, and I'm not disappointed at all. Everybody was there. Everybody, different levels of knowledge.
500 is a nice poke, right? Like it
100%.
it looks far, right? When you're looking at a target, you can't make out any kind of like, you can't make out any kind of real like, what's it called, detail at 500 yards. Like, it's just a blurry little thing on the horizon.
Like, at what range, like civilian range anyways, that you could go to more or less whenever you wanted, goes out that far in Ontario. I mean, I know there's a few random places out in Alberta that are like 1,000 yards or whatever, but for the most part, Ontario, you're going to max out at 300, and even those are few and far between. So 5 is a good number. And I mean, you're learning all
max out.
Well, there aren't any ranges
ranges.
that go
no ranges.
that far, because I mean the range construction rules and everything, right? So like, if you go 100 yards, your pile of dirt needs to be
yay high
big
with nothing behind it for a certain amount of distance.
Oh, got it.
So like,
So is that why you were using? Were you using
military
Petawawa? Like, yeah.
We were using Borden.
Oh,
up
Borden.
here.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, I did know that.
Yeah.
Got them all.
But I mean, it's a
confused.
massive facility, and then like the way that the government builds its ranges doesn't need to meet CFO approval. So there's things that they can do there and all that. I mean, not that it doesn't have the,
their backdrop is still pretty accurate. Like, for 1,000-yard range,
Yeah.
basically the rule is you need to have about 10-ish miles of nothing behind it.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. which kind of makes no sense because when you're at 1,000 yards, you're lobbing bullets just about any caliber. You're lobbing them in there. There's no way it's ever going that 10 miles. Like it's just the way the physics work. It's just like physically not possible for the bullet to like go that far. But anyways,
No,
it is
but
what
they
it
do
is.
have the big
Yeah.
templated safety areas. The
Yeah.
base
Yeah.
does have them laid out like that, right? There is the big templated safety area that
Yeah.
there's
this is
nothing
like
there. You
danger
can't
zone.
possibly screw anything up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other big thing for the military is because they shoot tracers a lot, so those do ricochet up and can fly anywhere, and they're quite hot still. They start fires quite often because they're still burning so hot when they land. So that is a thing. Again, I don't know if it needs 10 miles, but it is what it is.
Unlike most of your regular gun clubs, I feel like your average gun club is 100-yard range. Maybe there's
Yeah.
a couple of lucky places in southern Ontario,
Yeah.
like south of Barrie, that are 300-yard ranges.
Yeah, Galt's got
Right.
200.
Yeah.
And
There's-
East Elgin is
I'm-
3, and
Yeah.
there's just Twin Cities, and that's what I mean. There's a
Yeah.
handful of ranges south of Barrie.
Yeah, I think there's 3 in total that I know, or maybe 4 that are 300 yards.
I don't know.
in
Maybe.
Ontario.
Yeah. Not many at all.
Issa,
So-
Sharon, or not Sharon, Lower Trent, and then
Yeah.
the one you were saying there. Twin
Yeah.
Cities.
Silverdale's got 2.
Yeah.
So like.
But it's
You're-
hard to get those in a
Yeah.
regular gun club.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of gun
It's harder,
clubs, 100
sure.
yards is
The average for many of them.
your normal distance, which for a hunting rifle is probably fine. But
Mhm.
Like one of the gun clubs in Ottawa has a 300-yard range, but they got no 200. It's like you got whatever. It's like 100 yards and then 300. So like the club I'm part of, they've got 100, 200, but no plans to expand just because of the regulations for CFO
Well-
approval or whatever. And
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. We kind of get a bit of a treat because like you guys say, like there's barely anybody that has anything past 100 yards.
but the Army has several.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was if anybody is ever interested in it and gets in touch and can have the rifle and the scope and the time to do it, I strongly recommend it to at least try it out. Everybody thinks it's so easy. You do click click and click 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 and you're on target and you're shooting bullseyes. Like there's way more to learn on top of this. Thankfully, there were many people that knew way more than I know that would help guide us, get us on paper as quick as possible. Trying to keep as much ammo left over at the end of the weekend, just because it's so hard to find, it's expensive, right? They were like, we don't want you to waste it for no reason. Lots of people to help. It was fun to see how the matches are done and shoot a few of those stages, the 500 and the 200. It was fun. Definitely tickled a little bit of like, yeah, I've definitely got to go try at least 1-2 matches. Keep track of the scores, keep practicing as best as I can, and hopefully those scores keep going up bit by bit, right?
Yeah, that's the hope. I mean, I tried to shoot the matches that they're quick matches, and so if your gear's not kind of squared away, or you're not, or
Yeah.
it doesn't work, or it's it's not the right kit. It's the hunting rifle. There, there was a few guys on the course like with hunting rifles, like with 2-round mags, that they're going to struggle, and I wanted them to see that so they could kind of understand what's kind of needed to, I don't want to say excel at the sport, but have fun with the sport and not feel like your gear is completely holding you back. And
That was
just
kind of the conversation though that you had with me about my rifle not
Yeah.
probably being good enough for
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
so
like
Yeah.
one guy was there. He showed up late on
it's a
the
bad
Saturday.
start.
That's a bad
And I,
start.
and I picked on him because
Yeah.
that's what I do.
That's what we do
Well
to
done.
latecomers. The thing is, when you're on an army base, we start the day with a safety briefing. You must be present for the safety briefing, or you
Yeah.
can't participate in the day. It's just that them's the rules. So
Yeah.
he came halfway through that. and I-
Part
I
of
let-
your permission to go live request, right, is everyone has been delivered the safety brief.
Mhm.
So like you're
Don't
attesting
make me a
that
liar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he came halfway through that on the first day, and I let it slide, and kind of got him up to speed, and he brought a hunting rifle with. So I was talking to my friend that works at Elwood Epps. It's one of those Savages that with a pencil barrel, and they literally, he said the scopes that come with them from the factory are literally worth $25. So they've been literally
Yeah.
given a box of these scopes to just like
Hand out.
hand out as they fail because they're just absolute garbage. And so he was struggling. I could barely keep him on a piece of Bristol board for the 100 yards zeroing. And then the next day he didn't show up till lunchtime, so he wasn't shooting. And he's like, "Oh, that's all right." I'm like, "You can still watch." He's like, "Okay, I'll watch." I'm like, "That's fine." And he's like, "Oh, look what I bought." And so apparently after Saturday, he went to Cabela's straight from the range and bought a RPR like Savage 6.5, like with a tactical chassis and the whole 9 yards. Basically bought a $2,500 gun. I'm like, that's a really nice gun, man, but you gotta like show up on time if you're gonna want to shoot that thing, because
Yeah.
it's just gonna
That's
it's just gonna sit there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I can kind of appreciate your go get 'em attitude, but at the same time, you need to show up. Like you need to
Yeah.
show up on
Yeah.
time, or
Well,
I can't do anything for you.
I had the conversation with him sort of at the end of the day when he was hanging around. He was sort of asking me some questions, and I was like, like you're welcome to come back, but like realize that on match day it's match day, and like there will not be a bunch of people here to like hold your hand and help you do this. So like you're allowed to come do it, but like make sure you like all of the things that you need to know to get your dope and everything. You should know all that, because if you show up and you're not doing well, you're not going to have that great of a time, and we won't have time to slow down to teach you. That's not the place for that. But also like you need to show up on time. Like, and I even gave him the early is on time and on time is late. Like this is the military base.
Yep.
You need to be here for safety brief. If you're not here for safety brief, you don't shoot. So
Yeah, I mean, he just literally wasted his $200. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
he
but I
definitely
mean,
didn't get-
if he's comfortable with it,
no,
Yeah,
yeah,
like-
like I can't feel
I guess
sorry
it
for him.
sucks, but it sucks for you guys because you guys are putting the
Doesn't
effort
suck
in.
for me at all. My very first comment was, "I'm not dealing with this nonsense all day." It wasn't directed at that guy. It was literally that we were struggling to get sign-ins done.
Yeah.
Dude,
No,
gotta
but I
call
mean,
me
you
next
know, like,
time.
Well, we
Right,
need an
and I
admin
s-
person.
and I see
know.
Dave's point where it's just like, like I don't really feel bad. Like if he wants to throw away his $200, like
Yeah.
it kind of sucks that,
It's just
Let's say-
structurally shitty for the people that are doing the
thing
right
is-
things.
Well, the
at
biggest
the
thing
right
is just
times.
the biggest thing is he took a spot of someone else that wanted to be on there. I had a huge
Yeah.
wait list of other
Yeah.
people that
Yeah.
wanted to come to this course, and
Yeah.
he basically wasted that spot. Like, let's not
Yeah.
mince words here. He basically
Yeah.
wasted my time and his with his
so that
tardiness.
opportunity for someone that is just as gun ho and wanting to absorb all that or whatever. So like, yeah, there's that feature of like, it sucks for the person that would have been there, at 5 o'clock in the morning, waiting with coffee and a big notepad, recording everything and just, hoping to absorb everything and do whatever. So there is that, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like, look, you can't shoot. So it's like, okay, well, that's one less potential of something not going well or delays or this, that. But at the end of the day, right, the whole purpose of this course was just to inform and give as much knowledge to as many people that want to be there. So I see that missed opportunity being, definitely something
Yeah.
crazy.
My goal at the end of the day was to try and make sure that everybody that came would not be afraid to want to come to a match. You know what I mean? Would not, which is what were you saying?
No, that $200 one, the hostage one.
Oh, 200 yard. Yeah.
Yeah, the 200-yard hostage one. I'm still a little like, but
It's a
I did
tough match, man.
horrible.
It's a tough
I did
match.
horrible on that one. Like when we wrote down the scores, it's like,
Don't feel bad.
motherfucker.
I
And-
to this day still struggle with that match. That match is so hard. Like I said, that the target is technically not big enough for to follow the way all the other targets are set up.
Yeah,
It's
right.
and it's a tough match.
Yeah, and I'm comfortable with my rifle sitting behind it and squeezing the trigger. I got no problems with that. The time restraint is a big new thing too. I go to the
Yeah.
gun range. It doesn't matter if I'm there
Yeah,
for 2 hours and
we're
only pop off
adding
6
some
rounds.
stress, right? We're adding
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
stressors on it. It's not
So
just
it's like,
sitting
okay,
behind a rifle.
You know,
That's good though.
Yeah.
the bolt, I'm like, I wish it was a little smoother. Like, I first
That'll-
gun I ever bought was a Tika. So I'm like going from,
that
the
bolt will
Savage
get
110.
smoother. That bolt will
Yeah.
get smoother. If you saw it, I don't know if you watched your partner beside you, Swayze there, but he was using my old rifle. So, and
Yeah.
that's an old 700 action, and it is absolute butter, like just pure butter, because it's
Yeah,
just
no, so
been
I
cycled
didn't see
so
him
many
shoot
times,
'cause-
right?
Yeah, you guys
me
were
and
on.
him were on opposites, right? Yeah, he was
right,
in the
right.
butts when I was shooting, and he was shooting when I was
Oh,
in the
right,
butts,
right.
right?
Okay.
So I never saw it, but yeah, no, I saw it, and he had mentioned that and everything, and I was like, okay, yeah, and I mean, it's smoother than when I first got it. So I'm like,
Hey, you just got to keep
okay,
shooting
so-
it more rounds down range. It's
Yeah.
just gonna keep it getting better and better.
right, but that $200 one, I'm still like,
I had a
Can I, like,
question though.
just skip-
Your rifle,
Yep.
did it come with that bolt knob on it?
Yep.
Really? That's a really nice bolt knob. Like for factory, that's fucking sweet.
That's a
I'm
show
jealous.
title.
There you go.
It's really nice.
Yeah,
For a
Dave,
factory,
Dave is jealous of Pierre's knob. That's
Yeah, sure.
yeah, no, so it's right, like I go down these crazy rabbit holes when I like long range shooting has always been something I've always wanted to do. Never done it. Started hunting, bought a gun, started hunting and everything, and I'm like, it's just been one of those things where I'm like, I just want to try it out or whatever. And I've been looking at this rifle for pre-COVID, but never really had the crazy funds for it or whatever. And then once COVID happened, finances got a little bit better for us. It was like, can't find one in stock to save my fucking life. And then finally, right? So I shoot wrong hand. I shoot left-handed. Which also, I got yelled at so many fucking times to put my chamber flag in. And it wasn't, but it's on the opposite side of everybody else
Yeah,
thinking.
it's because you were doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, but it was just one of those things where I'm like, I finally found one. It's in stock. They've only got one. So I bite the bullet now. So bought it. Very pleased with it. Had a few small mishaps, a few little either light strikes, no strikes, no clue, because there was so much going on. But
yeah.
you know,
Like I said, I was watching you there. I'm thinking it was just a not fully locked into battery, but
yeah. So
you have to
it's
play
gonna
with
be
it.
one of those things that I'm gonna
I still
deliberately
think it's
try.
the trigger.
the Accu trigger that it
Yeah.
does. Yeah, it does weird things. Can you put a trigger check on those?
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't really bothered on mine. Like once I figured out why it's doing the thing that it's doing,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just pull it straight back now. But like, just takes some practice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it can
just
be
getting
a little
used
bit
to it.
finicky. For everybody watching, Pierre's shooting a Savage 110 with an Accu
Yeah.
trigger. You're right. So
Yeah,
it's a bit of a different trigger than what normally comes with your Remington 700 type action. It's kind of like a Glock trigger almost.
Yeah, it's got like
Secondary
the
trigger.
trigger with the little
Safety
safety blade in the
Yeah.
middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that,
Yeah. So if the
don't-
safety blade is back, your bolt is it's decocked. So the second you cock it, this little blade kicks forward. It's got a bit
Yeah.
of play, and you can tell.
But-
yeah, it's kind of nice. I do like it because I'm like easy to tell even looking at it. Even with your bolt closed, you can tell if it's cocked or not. Right? Like I don't know. I other than those 2-3 mishaps, I think I had one on the Saturday and I had 1 or 2 on the Sunday. And also, word of advice: anybody doing anything for matches, don't listen to people that tell you this is the last round. You will forget 4 shots.
yeah.
Right? Like someone's like, "All right, this is the last round." So I was like, "Okay." So I popped 2 shots. So I was like, didn't think much of it. Grab my chamber flag, put my chamber flag in or whatever, and then I just hear a gunshot. And I'm like, "What are we talking about?" They're like, "Pierre, what are you doing?" I was like, "That motherfucker said we were done." And he's like, "Yeah, no, we're not." So yeah, I'm like at that point, I was like, "Yeah, I'm just not bothering with the last 4 shots. Like I completely screwed myself. I should have just paid attention and like."
Yeah,
know,
that's
set that-
another
yeah.
thing you're just get used to is like, what does it feel like when it picks up around versus nothing? There's
Yeah.
obviously that ka-clunk, that ka-chunk kind
Mhm.
of thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
I hope that you can make it out to hopefully you can get into one of Barney's. I'm sure Barney will let you into a match, even though they're all full, but I'm sure you can just show up and he'll probably let you go. And then, like I said, hopefully you can come to some of my matches, one or two of mine this summer. Hopefully you can come
Yeah.
back. It should be good.
It's a good time.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, like, so it was unfortunate that Mel didn't come as well, because I know this is something she wants to try out at least, right?
Mhm.
Do the course and
She's been
get the
filling up
knowledge
the
and see-
chat.
yeah, and just but just something that I'm like, it's a thing we do together. Like, hey, let's go to the gun range. Like, I don't work Fridays, so like, put the daughter on the bus. Like, me and her will go to the shooting range, or we go hunting. She loves doing turkey in the spring. I like doing spring bear in the fall. We do deer. Like, it's just the thing we do. So I'm like, we both wanted to go to this. It just didn't happen that we could both go. So if there's ever another opportunity,
Like I said,
she'll hop on
Barney
it.
usually does a really good job for newbies too, because he usually books
Yeah.
both days and he can definitely walk walkers.
Oh
through.
yeah, but I got
Getting
so many
settled.
messages from him, because like we exchanged numbers, and then he was like, "Here's the info. There's a crazy long message coming," and there were so many things. Like, I got home and I showed Bella. I was like,
Yeah.
"So this is the other guy," and I'm like swiping through my phone, but it was all good
Yeah,
information. He's
it's
like,
all
"This
it's
is
all
what I
his
do."
info.
Yeah.
He's got like
Yeah.
a one post he
Yeah.
usually does each year with
Yeah.
he just
Yeah.
copies and pastes it, that way he doesn't have to keep
Yeah.
rewriting it. It's just like, this is what you need to bring, this is what you need, this is when it is, this is where it is,
Yeah.
be there, be square.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Well, and
it's a lot closer to go to Petawawa for me
Well,
in
and the
comparison
funny
to going out
thing
to Borden. But yeah,
also is like when you start getting into long distance shooting, there's a lot of there's this way to do it, and then there's this way to do it. And it's sort of funny sometimes when you have people that are both good at what they do, but the different, like the opposite opinions, like the cleaning of a rifle thing, right? Like some people like, oh no, you got to clean that thing all the
what?
time. Yeah, I know. And then there's
Yeah.
others that are like, no, you absolutely do not do this. Like you don't want to be changing anything in your barrel, because that is going to mess things up for you.
yeah, it's finding that right groove, and yeah,
Well, you gotta
it
find
was-
what works for you and your gun and all that. But
And what won't get you yelled at on the line?
yes, that's the biggest thing. But
Barney's
Yeah.
gonna yell at you, get an Orenco.
yeah,
yeah, no, but it was fantastic. I loved it so much. I'm ecstatic to get back to the few tricks you guys said, the dry fire, work on the trigger, that. I do want to get out. So our range has 200 yards. So I'm like, I might try and print off those hostage things and like kind of set them up.
Hell yeah.
Similar to like, it's about 8 feet wide. So if
Yeah,
there's
you can-
nobody there,
You time
Stay full.
yourself and just
Yeah.
every
you know,
time you hear a beep, give it in 8-second intervals so you can
Yeah. and
time
just,
yourself.
like,
You want
Yeah,
to
have
work
your
on
rifle
manipulating
pointed
the
towards
knob.
the middle one, but like,
Yes.
close your eyes. And if there's someone there, just be like, no, go right. And then, do that. Like, yeah, it's nice that, knowing what some of those things are, considering I have a 200 yard range at DC, the 500-yard one we did would be kind of
Yeah.
hard to figure out without that. But I mean, you could probably practice at 200 if you like shrinked it down a little bit.
well, yeah. So that's one way you
Right.
can practice that, is by making your
Yeah.
target smaller. So
Don't use the big one that you see at 200, because it won't be the same size. But if you can figure that out, print
Yeah.
one out on a legal size paper compared to what it normally is or whatever. So yeah, lots of things that I took away from it. Thankfully came home with spare ammo, so I can keep trying that out. But
Actually, I was curious, how many rounds did you use? Because you were about the average. Like, you didn't waste too much
Yeah.
other than a few on the scope
Yeah.
test.
Yeah, a few on the scope test. I didn't actually count it because that ammo bin's just sitting upstairs. I put everything else away. But I want to say I probably came home with, give or take, 100 rounds.
And so you shot.
I would say
think you
80
shot about 100 rounds.
Yeah, I shot about 100 rounds, I would
Okay.
say.
Yeah. So I
Give
mean,
or
I
take,
I told everybody to bring 200, probably on the
Yeah.
high end, but you never know. Some people run into
Yeah.
more problems.
Right. Like, I mean, when we got the 500 yards, it took me 3 shots to get centered. And one of them was 100% my fault, a wasted one. Because, like, as we saw, right, like, we were the yellow post on 5 and those yellow posts aren't like perfectly straight. So I didn't pay attention to that. So I shot target number 4 instead of 5. We were just sighting in. Like I shot the target and then like it went down. He's like, "Did you shoot?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like the target didn't go down. And then I'm like, I was starting to look and I see those pegs going straight off to one side where I was like, I was shooting the wrong target. I was like,
Yeah.
but it
It
only
happens.
took me 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like,
We
it wasn't
encourage the
during-
crossfires. It's funny.
Yeah. So it was like,
Like-
okay, one of those where it was just like, I just assumed, hey, take your time. And take your time. Everything's marked on the top. So it's like, all right, I was just getting a little antsy and I knew we were getting close on time. So I was like, I think it was just the excitement of like, hey, we're at, half of 1,000 yards. So it's like, that's pretty cool in a day. So, but after that, I mean, it was 2 rounds and I got, 333 on, well, technically it was 10, but I had the 1 misfire. So I was like, I'm ecstatic about that at 500 yards. I was like, none of my rounds went off paper at 500 yards. I was more than pleased.
Yep.
Right.
I
Yeah.
was not in attendance on Sunday. Did you guys get to do a movers match?
We didn't do the movers match. There was not
Oh.
enough time. We did.
You've got to do the movers match.
Yeah, I was
we do.
kind of
the
looking
problem
forward
with
to
the
that
movers
one.
match is getting everybody.
Oh
do
no,
good target
new
presentation.
new people doing the movers match is terrible. I'm just
Yeah.
saying doing the movers match is super fun.
It is. It's generally that movers match is generally what wins the match. If you do well on the movers match, you pretty much are going to win the day. It's
Yeah. For
crucial.
those that don't
Either
know what you're
something-
talking about, though, maybe you should explain what a movers match is.
The
basically,
target is moving.
yeah, it's going to start. We usually shoot at a figure 11. You can Google what that is. We started
No,
on a
you
figure.
can't. It won't come up. A figure
Does.
11 is a
It-
charging soldier target.
It does. It
Yeah.
does come up, but
Yeah.
they're not like the ones that Canadians shoot at. They're usually got circle. Anyways, Herman the German, we call him.
Yeah.
We shoot at that.
Some other
it's-
names too, but we can't say them on the.
Yeah, it'll come up in the middle of your lane, and then it'll be up for 6 seconds, and it'll come down after that 6 seconds. It'll fall down in front, and you got to shoot it 1 time, and you're going to see it go left or right 5 times each in random succession. You don't know, and it's shot at 400 yards, 400 meters, depending on which range you're on. So it's pretty far. Like usually, even with my 6.5, I'm usually holding right on the front edge of that or more, depending on what the wind's doing. And with 308, you're usually trying to put a little bit of a gap between where you're aiming and then where the actual paper starts. So it's about, I'd say, what is that, 1.5 mils, 1.2 mils a lead?
Yeah,
on
1.2.
Yeah, 1.2 mils a lead on that target. So it's a lot. It's no, you're not just pointing straight at it and pulling. You gotta lead it. You gotta take wind into account as well.
Lead it? Do you ambush it? Or you?
Well, there's 2 trains.
I know.
Of
That's what I said.
There's a guy
lots of
that-
options. There's choices.
the guy that was teaching, the guy that I was letting teach a lot of the targetry down in the butts there, Mike. He's won the last national championships back in 2019, and he says he prefers to track it, whereas I used to track it, and then I started practicing some more while I was up in Milcon, and Linda taught me to ambush it, and I actually found my scores went up and got a lot more consistent when I started ambushing. So ambushing would be when, okay, I see the target, I see which way it's moving, I'm gonna get in front of it, and I wait till it gets to the perfect sight picture that I want to see, and then I pull the trigger. That would be
Right.
ambushing.
And as he was saying, he's a shotgunner. So I'm like,
Yeah.
if you ever hunt bird, it's inbred in them, right?
Yeah, just
you
slap
gotta
that
be
trigger.
slap
Yeah.
that trigger when it gets to that perfect window where you think it's gonna get right. Which I mean, if you don't go waterfowl hunting, right? Like it's foreign
Yeah,
to
you're
you
not-
because like everybody thinks like shooting flying skeet in the air with a shotgun is easy. I'm like, yeah, get fucked. Go do that. Like it's a lot more complicated than you think, right? Like it does take a lot of practice. So I'm like, if you get so into it, if you've been hunting for 10 years, shooting ducks and geese and normally tag out fairly easy to try and teach the different way, right? And he's like, if you can, like try both. Like, if you've shot at any flying anything or running deer, it might be easier for you to do it one way. He's like, try it out, see which one works for you. And, have at her, which, yeah, that would be one that I wish I could figure out how to get that even at 200 yards with a smaller target, right? Like just get something moving at a specific speed, whichever way. Try it out and try out the two scenarios without having a whole bunch of people there, obviously in a safe way anyways. But yeah, it was I was kind of happy that one didn't happen, because I figured that one was, I was like, man, there's no way I'm gonna hit that target. There's no way I was gonna hit that one.
It's definitely stepping it up a notch. And like I
Yeah.
said, shooting is one thing, but actually the harder part is actually presenting the target in a uniform manner so that everybody
Yeah.
is seeing the same thing. It's being held up at the right height and you're all moving at the same the same
Same
speed.
speed, yeah.
Is it usually usually the first match or two of the year, I usually let people down in the butts do practice runs of like at least 5-6 times until the butts officer is happy. I'll let them keep practicing, because if it's not done right, it ruins everybody's match that's shooting, right?
Yeah.
So
Because if one
needs to be
person's
right.
crazy slow, one person's crazy fast, and if the the one that's fast, like, you gotta adjust more. So like, you kind of want it in a
catch up.
uniform, so you can have it just fair for everybody, right? Like, hey, if everybody's moving the same speed, you can't complain that, like, well, that guy was going slower, so that's why. Well, I'm not saying that they would, but it just keeps it fair for everybody.
Well, and
that
that's why
none
they're
of
saying
anybody
that
would complain.
between the different, relays and all of that, they record the randomness so that each relay gets the same randomness, so that it is 100% equal for everyone that is shooting.
Yep.
So
Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, it was fantastic. Few things which, like, I'm gonna send, like, very minute things that I would say, like, hey, cut this and add this, just out of me, a little bit more potential knowledge from some people that may have been there. So take that with a grain of salt, obviously, right? Like, if some people know nothing, starting from absolute scratch and everything, but it was fantastic. I feel comfortable behind a rifle, but even me getting there, I felt a little bit of intimidation and unsureness and, the jitters. Like, there's a guy behind you spotting you and understanding that, oh man, this guy's been doing competitions for like 10 years. You don't want to look like an idiot, right?
Well, but I mean,
all those things. And
also
nobody
the
made me
communication
feel like
between shooter and spotter, if you've never done that before, because there's definitely some language that needs to happen, and you need to be speaking the same language, and just the cadence of it too, right? Like, because there's definitely some people that, like, they go too fast, so like, you let them, like, and this was my problem when I first got into working with a spotter. Like, I'd be down there, I'd be ready to go, and like the spotter would be like, all right, spotter ready, and then I would like send it, and it's like, he's like, okay, like, I'm ready, but like, you gotta give me a second, because like, I don't think that you're gonna be shooting as soon as I say that I'm ready. Like,
give me a heads up saying, like, okay, shooter ready.
Yeah. So like, you got to work out, whatever your language is with them, and make sure that you understand what everyone is doing, so that you can both get the most out of it, right?
I think the I don't want to say the level 2, but I would say the graduation from this class after you've shot a match or two would then be I would like to put on some sort of like a spotters class, like spotting and reading. That is, because that's what makes and breaks these matches, is your spotter giving you the information you need to make the good shot. Pointing the reticle in the right spot is not that hard, really. It's but like knowing where to point it, and your spotter giving you the right information so that you do it.
Advising, like, hey, the wind picked up, so like, there was one where it was like, I would go 0.3, the wind picked up, do 0.3. So one thing I didn't pay attention to was the reticle on my scope. So I was like, okay, 0.3. So I went 3 lines on my scope, shot, target went down, came back up, and he's like, you're way off.
Way too far.
Yeah, like, you're way too off. Like, what'd you do? I was like, I went 3 lines. He's like, what's your increments? I was like, that's a good question. So, I went, instead of going 0.3 mils, I went like 1.5 mils.
I went 3 big marks.
Because they're 0.5 increments on it. So I'm like, So I'm like, well, at 300 yards, like that's a lot, right? In comparison. So it was just one of those things where I'm like, I don't know, you said 0.3, I did 1, 2, 3 and pulled the trigger, man. Like, and so, that was, one of my things. And I'm like, the backstop, I didn't pay attention to it. And then like, I think it was when we got the 400 and I looked in it and I was like, why does that one say 2 under it? It's like, oh, I know what I did, right? So just one small thing, not something you're going to think of, right? Like 0.3 compared to 1.75 is quite a bit of a difference, but like just things you don't think of, well, 0.3. So I did 3 notches in my reticle, but not understanding that concept. So, that was a mishap on me and it cost me, a bullet, but it's just
Yeah.
one of those
It's a learning thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
so
like,
it was
yes,
a thing.
the graduations in your scope do match the ones on your turret, but just
know that which one's what.
yeah,
Which was one of those things, right? Like, I think it was a while after, and I don't think I mentioned it to him afterwards, but yeah, he was just like, you were way off. So he's like, yeah, go back to like dead center. And he's like, yeah, just stay on dead center, like
yeah.
it was
Hit the
it was
reset
just
button.
one of those things. Yeah,
Yeah.
hit the reset.
That's all right.
Okay,
We've
you're
all
good.
done it. I mean, I've
Yeah.
had matches where I've gone and done, like, I've turned the dial the wrong way,
Yeah.
or I've forgotten to reset the dial between stages. So like, you think that you're dialing the correct thing, and you are, but you're not looking at your turret. You're just you're counting.
Right. So
And
you're
then you're
already
like,
up 5,
Yeah.
and then you go up. Oh, I gotta go up 2. So you go up 2, but now you're 5 over. Yeah.
So yeah, been there, done
Yeah.
that. It's all things we've done while we're learning, and when you're under that time constraint, because it adds that little bit of pressure, right?
Yeah,
When you're used to
that
being at
was
the range and shooting on your
It's-
own time, and you've got all the time in the world, and it's like, but that's
Yeah, you've got that time where you can get that perfect sight picture. You can take a minute to control your breathing, squeeze the
Well, yeah.
trigger, and then stare at it for 2-3 minutes, and then reload, and then do the same thing. But it's like, the 500 yards we were working at, where it was like, it's either going to come up in the middle, in the right, or the left, but it's only up for 3 seconds. Like 3 seconds is enough, but I'm like, I'm not that crazy comfortable. I'm like, we've got my dope pretty good. I was like, up down is good, but I'm like, depending on the wind, like, where's it going to go on the paper? So I was like, okay, you've got your finger on the trigger and you're ready to go. And it's like, it comes up and like, you're like, oh my God, where is it? So it's like trying to figure out how to get those jitters down. I mean, the score wasn't bad. I was ecstatic with it. Never shot at 500 yards and didn't get one that wasn't on paper. I was ecstatic with that time restraint and everything. I was more than pleased with it. Obviously, I would have preferred, 9 out of 10 Vs that I shot, but it was fantastic. Lots of good information, fantastic people there, full of knowledge, enthusiasm, willingness to just explain, like, ask questions away. No question is stupid. Nobody ever thought that. I definitely didn't. I'm sure nobody else did, because the more questions you ask, can save you 6 rounds of ammo.
Yeah.
And a guy standing in there just being like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, let's get back to 0. Like, ask the question. It was fantastic.
Well, yeah, we definitely had some of those where you're just like, I need to let's just go back to like everything at the 0 and see where we're going.
And
something fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, we were only supposed to go up, and I was 3 inches under the dot. Like, I was the only one going the wrong way, because for whatever reason, right? Like, it happens. But
when you're not paying attention, and
and I mean, it took 1-2 shots to get on paper, and it took more for some people, or I took more than other people. Like, it didn't seem like anybody was, sitting there being like, oh, come on, like, we want to get back, we want to get further, and we want to keep going through all these things. Like, it seemed like everybody was, understanding of, the level of knowledge and comfortability behind a rifle was different for almost everybody. But everybody was understanding, instructors as well as participants during the course, which was very nice to see, because sometimes you get there and like, there's one asshole that thinks he kind of knows everything, and like but didn't come off that way. It was good. Everybody, willing to spread the knowledge,
Yeah.
which is the best part of everything.
They only made fun of you after you left, Pierre.
Oh yeah.
No,
100%.
I made fun of him to his face in front of everyone. I
100%.
told everyone that he's already got the man bun to go along with the 6'5".
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they
it's
was
right
like,
in
oh,
front
what
of
you got? What you got? Yeah, because I had a half-inch grouping at 100 yards. They're like, what are you shooting? I was like, a 6.5. He's like, what ammo you got? It was Barney. And I was like, yeah, I've got, the federal gold match. She's like, you go fucking buy everything you can afford and find. He's like, that stuff shoots awesome. The next day, yeah, how'd it go today? And Kevin was like, well, he's got the game and bun. He's got the 6.5. He's halfway there, buddy. And yeah, it was all fun and games, right? Like, I was good with it. It's just one of those things that's but yeah, everybody was there to enjoy, have some fun. I had a blast, very ecstatic, hoping to get on something else or get to a point where do something similar and
Matches, man.
start
Shoot more
start at
matches.
Yeah.
5.
Just gotta shoot matches.
Yeah.
That's all I do,
Yeah.
man. I pretty much
It's-
shoot every single match, every single month for the past
Yeah.
like 6 years, and like it just
Yeah.
rounds down range under match
Yeah.
conditions. There's just no replacement for that kind
Why practice when you could just shoot matches as practice?
For somebody that,
I mean-
is like very outside of that realm,
Mhm.
what is the cost to do matches?
Well, I mean,
Varies.
the
Let's
thing
say-
is, yeah, you got to get an ORA membership
Yeah.
to get the cheaper rate. So generally, it's $40 for my matches if you're a member, right? A membership to the ORAs. If you have your CSSA membership, it's like
175
100
plus CSSA.
Yeah. So like, if like me, I didn't have my CSSA was expired, so came out to 225. And
Hmm.
then it's about 40. It'll be $40 a match. So my match fees are pretty cheap by comparison. If you look at how much like your PRS
That's a
matches cost,
very,
yeah, they're
I
usually
just
What's a-
consider that,
what's a
like-
Barney
$75.
match go for in Petawawa? About $50.
No, well, per day, like he's
Yeah,
usually
per
like,
day.
yeah, he's usually like $100, something like that.
Yeah, and his matches are usually a 2-day program.
Yeah. So
and how much are you shooting in that match?
my matches, you're usually going to be shooting about 50 rounds. Like we do four stages, four
Yeah.
matches, like 4 distances.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
I
aside
just,
from those memberships, that sounds very affordable.
Well,
Yeah.
and even that, like, so I mean, I just did my ORA membership the other day, so I can tell you exactly how much it costs for this year. As long as you don't need any of the other things to go along with it, it is exactly $180.54
With the CSSA,
without.
It's if you already
Without
have
it.
I already
Without?
have
Oh,
CSSA
yes.
because of
which is how much?
40 bucks, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So
very
it's not bad. Or is as long as we have our dates, which is just been, we
Yeah.
haven't been on CFP Borden for the past 2 years because of COVID. It's been closed, right? So it's
Mhm.
really sucked ass and not been worth getting
Yeah.
the membership. But on our normal years, like in 2019, me and Andrew, and you can ask Andrew, I was there pretty much every weekend because I was training really hard for service rifle back in 2019. And so I would go to all the other events and I wouldn't shoot their course of fire. I would just keep doing service rifle type shooting with a coach. And like I was at Borden every single weekend basically. And
Yeah.
so like
I mean, looking
it's
at the
totally worth it.
calendar,
You
yeah.
can't get that kind of shooting anywhere else.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So-
there's a decent variety of types of shooting as well. I mean,
Yeah. We have a lot of different genres that we cover. Like we just have plinking at 800 at 100 yards that you can just show up and pretty much bring just about whatever you want, depending on, caliber restrictions. And then service rifle, sporting rifle is a lot of fun for a lot of people. They shoot 100, 200, and 300, which is
I
300
did
is my-
see there are some service rifle dates on the calendar for this
there is
year.
too.
Be
There is.
interesting
So-
to see what people are running for that sport, but
Yeah, I'll bring my Maple Ridge straight pull. Shouldn't be a problem. So
Same. Planning on shooting a straight pull. Outside of Ontario, there are some other options with this. The Dominion of Canada Rifle Association organizes the precision rifle shooting. Dominion of Canada Rifle Association is the governing body for a number of these sports. The provincial rifle associations like Ontario can use the DCRA courses of fire, or they can use their own things. I'm reasonably certain precision rifle is also similar to how we do it in Ontario, is shot similarly in Alberta and in British Columbia.
We all go basically work from the DCRA rule book, which is written in, I mean, it's basically for all of Canada, right?
Well, the DCRA is for all of Canada, and there are all the provincial associations. There's also the National Capital National Capital Region Rifle Association, the NCRRA, that shoots at Knott, the same place that
yeah,
nationals
that's
are
right.
held. But
Right.
they don't have a precision rifle program. They do have target rifle and service rifle and F class and some other disciplines, but they don't have precision rifle the same way that we do for
Do they have
Ontario.
anything though this year? Because basically
don't
Knott is
think
under
so.
construction, right? Like that's why all the nationals are
think-
not being held there, right?
Yeah.
I don't think NCRRA is doing anything this season. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to be near Borden to do this. You don't have to be near Petawawa to do this. Other provincial bodies have
The sport.
equivalent sports.
Yeah.
And it all does feed into a national program. So you can go and shoot a national level competition for this stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're shooting in BC, Alberta, or Ontario, I'm pretty sure in all three of those provinces, you're shooting the national course of fire. And at one point, I am relatively certain that the Royal New Brunswick Rifle Association was doing this, but I don't think they do anymore.
But yeah,
But that doesn't mean that you can't start your own program if you've got the facility and you're interested in it.
Yeah, and
hit me
course
up.
of fire is all on DCRA. So
Yeah,
go get the
rule-
rule book.
rule book is
Enjoy
National
reading
Service
it in-
Conditions Championships.
Enjoy reading it in Comic Sans. So we're the fun shooting sport.
Professional.
Yeah, I don't know why it's in Comic Sans. That's not true. I do know why. I'm not going to say on the internet why it's in Comic Sans.
Well, you know who put it in it. You don't know why.
Oh, I know why. Come find me drinking at my trailer, and I'll explain all the history.
Fair.
But
Mhm.
anything else from the weekend? Anything else from shooting long range rifle, precision rifle matches?
I will just recommend anybody that has ever had any kind of interest, go try it out. Even the people that struggled that didn't have a 10-round mag for those competitions or those things, go try it out.
A
It's just worth
necessity.
the
It's
knowledge.
just recommended.
Yeah, it's you may struggle with some of the, like, we weren't
Yeah.
shooting a match.
My
We
first
did
match that
some
I went
match.
to with Barney's, I didn't have the ability to feed mags. I was 4 rounds into the top, and then like feeding after the fact, and it sucked. I made it work. I still had a shit ton of fun. And then,
Yeah.
I literally, as soon as I went home, I ordered like an $80 bottom metal so I could put mags in mine. And
Yeah,
No,
like
don't-
don't let
raises.
that stop.
If you stage your rounds properly, you
Yeah.
can probably feed them fairly quickly and get
Yeah.
most of your shots off, if not all of
Yeah.
them.
yeah,
Right,
I think
and I mean-
I think I dropped maybe 2 shots on that 200-yard match, and that was about it.
And I mean, at that point, if that's going to be your thing, like, okay, I didn't take 4 of the shots because of having to reload. So I'm like, don't count those 4 in your score, right? Like, just for personally.
Yeah, for
And, like,
personal use. Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I shot pretty good on that. And I'm like, you don't need to go out and, buy a new gun, get all these mags, a different scope, like,
Yeah.
get something you've got. If this opportunity ever comes up where someone's doing something, I recommend 100% hop on it, no questions asked, just to try it out, get the knowledge of, playing Call of Duty and, it making more sense than just point and shoot on Call of Duty. There is a little bit more to it, but it's a fun day on the range. It was fantastic, whole bunch of knowledge, very welcoming people, very accepting people that just want to spread their knowledge. 100% would recommend to anybody and everybody to at least try it out. For sure.
Well, there you go. I mean, my big takeaway from the weekend is that Dave is jealous of Pierre's knob.
I am. I'm not gonna lie. That ain't no lie.
See what happens when I
10 out of 10 would recommend.
Oh boy. Well, that's probably a show. Go around and find out where people can find your knob if they're so interested. Why don't we start with Pierre?
After customizing on all the socialist medias or at Gmail. We're slowly getting back on track, but you need anything, shirt designs, all that stuff. If you're lucky, you might be able to find me on Instagram. I don't do anything with it, but I'm on there allegedly.
All right, Dave, where can everybody find you? And more importantly, where can they sign up for your matches?
Well, you can find me at Diesel6223 on Instagram. As far as my matches are concerned, you can go to the ORA website. I am the Precision Rifle Match Director, so I'm the one who's obviously overwatching that email inbox for oraprecision@gmail.com. You can also message the ORA Facebook page, which I also now have admin rights to as well. So I will see those messages as well if you want to get in touch with me on there as well. And yeah, right now I have a match scheduled for May 7th. It's like 95% certain. Just
I need to
haven't
load
got it.
ammo.
But yeah, you should load some fucking ammo, partner. And I'll see you there.
Liz, where can everybody find you?
Here. I don't
Not at the
really.
range.
I would like to say that I'm gonna be on the range, but
No sweet man bun.
why would I have a man bun? I'm a girl.
Girl
Doesn't
bun?
mean it's not. Does not mean it doesn't qualify as a man bun.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's just a ponytail for women.
Thought that would be a bun, but
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the ponytail, like that, like
I
see,
can't believe you
like
guys
I
are
keep
talking to
mine
me
in the
about
tight,
hair.
but
Calm
it's in a
down,
little
okay?
bun. I don't like.
Right.
I still have
Before we get on the-
nearly full head of
Statistically,
it.
Before we get all
Pierre
the 6'5"
might
shooters
have the
excited.
three of you covered in terms of, you know.
Hey,
Pretty thick.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what she said.
I've had long hair before in my life. Now I would just like to have hair.
Huh.
Well, where can
Anyways,
people find
Maybe
you, Gavin?
you can find me at the range. I'm hoping to get out to the range more.
Like I said, I need a stats person, so you can be you are
I'm in.
nominated. All right,
I'm
sweet.
in because I would like just a little bit more exposure because I'm just kind of shit at all of it. So,
You might just catch the bug and buy a rifle if
Yeah.
you show up. So you never know.
Yeah.
You might
Yeah,
go
I
straight
mean,
to
I just-
Cabela's and buy an RPR like that other guy.
Yeah.
I have a lot of rifles. I just don't have, I think, the right rifles. So
Well,
that's
but
kind of.
Sure, there's a
You-
few loners if
You'll have
needed,
to
but-
yeah, you'll have we got some loners. Take a look at your collection too, see if you got something that we could probably make work.
I have a lot of 22s, so probably not.
We'll get you sorted. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We were pimping my
Um,
rifle out on the weekend. I think we
Yeah.
could probably pimp it out some more.
There
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
go. There we go. I am on social media. My gym it's the basement gym. But for the most part, I don't really check social media too much. So either at the range or here. So Yeah.
Gavin.
When I'm not filling in for Andrew on radio duty at the range, you can find me on Instagram, UrbexGTA.
I bet you didn't get compliments on your radio procedure.
No, but I didn't get yelled at like somebody else.
I know which 2LT that was. I called that one Saturday morning. He's
What
gonna
did-
get yelled at.
What did he say?
Well, so for those that don't know, when you're communicating with the base, you need to do things in a certain way, right?
There's cadence to things.
Like who you're contacting, who's contacting them, and what your message is.
Over.
They didn't have those things. And they're like, so they had to give them a little quick lesson on. So when you're calling, especially because the Meaford range control and the Borden range control are on the same network. So you can't just say range control because then they don't know which one you mean. So they kind of had to remind them that they need to say who you're talking to.
And
Talking
which
for the
range
radio
control?
is hard.
Yeah.
I get it.
You get all nervous. You're like, okay, what do I gotta say? All right, say it.
Well, and I think a lot of people just don't use radios much. I mean, fortunately, because of my volunteer and stuff like that, we use radios a fair bit. but like a lot of people, I think, like push the button and start talking right away,
Gotta wait for
rather
that
than
beep.
like pushing the button, giving it a second, then talking.
Hmm. Yeah, you only hear half the message half the time.
Yeah.
If you want
don't
to
let,
come out, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, don't let that stop you coming to go shoot, because you don't have
Oh
to
no,
talk on the
that's
radio. You
totally
just gotta
just
shoot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my
people
problem,
that
not
are
your
running
problem.
matches on military bases just need to do
Yeah.
military things sometimes,
Yeah.
including talk on the safety radio.
Yeah, if you didn't, all kinds of bad things would happen.
Oh man, puppies and kittens.
Yeah.
That angry sergeant will be after you.
For now.
If you want to come hang out with me, much like Dave, I'm also involved in the Ontario Rifle Association. I run our close quarters program, which includes service pistol. We have many, many courses of fire to choose from. You can shoot whatever you want as long as it's on the range license. I don't care beyond that. I mean, there's a lot of rules, but like, I don't care. Follow all the rules, shoot all the things, bring some rifles,
Yeah.
bring some carbines, bring some pistols, bring some pistol caliber carbines. I don't care.
I'll shoot my Glock at your next match.
I'm gonna shoot my
Conveniently,
Glock at my next match.
there's a CQC match the day before Dave's match. You
It's
could
true.
shoot both.
You could shoot both.
It's a magical weekend when lots of magical things happen.
That's true. There's going to be a great deal of shooting. And if you need stuff to support your shooting habit, you can buy some things from me at ragnaroktactical.ca. I had a bunch of orders over the weekend that got shipped out this morning. If you use the discount code Patriot at checkout, you'll save yourself some money. Literally taking money out of my child's college fund, but that's okay. I talked to my accountant about it. It's tax season. We're in the black, just barely, but we're in the black.
For you.
Just in time for those pricks to go on strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck them and so on.
Yeah.
We're on Gilded. You can come hang out with us there. I have to apologize to Rod Giltaca. Rod does not shoot precision rifles, so Rod was not feeling up to participating this evening. Hopefully next week we'll get Rod on to talk about some of the shooting activities that they have in British Columbia. I hear it's beautiful out there. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are a small fringe minority with unacceptable view. Blah, blah, blah. Fuck it.
Unacceptable views.
Them too.